And both Wall Street and Main Street are wondering which economic policies Harris would champion if she becomes president. Steve Leisman is here. Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you.
A lot's been going on, Steve. You've been digging into her record, by the way, to kind of look at the economics of this. And we should welcome in, for an exchange exclusive, Ron Kruszewski. He's the chairman of CEO of Stifel Financial. And it's great to have you here, Ron, as well. You guys have had earnings and a lot going on. But, Steve, just kick us off here.
Well, I think just to tie in what Emily was doing, what Kamala Harris might or might not be able to do as president depends upon what kind of Congress she gets. So follow Emily's great reporting on this. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris, the Democratic frontrunner, now launching her campaign yesterday in Milwaukee, drawing from themes from both the Biden administration and her more liberal past as a senator.
Building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Because here's the thing we all here, Wisconsin, know. When our middle class is strong, America is strong.
So that's straight Biden talk, but she also called for a country where every person has affordable health care, affordable child care, and paid family leave. Again, sometimes proffered by the Biden administration, some of them withdrawing the Build Back Better attempt. With only a modest economic record, one that a Democratic policy advisor says has, quote, left few footprints in the sand. Supporters and critics are using the past to spin the economic future of a Harris presidency. Here's what supporters say. Not much space between Harris and Biden on the economy. She backs an economy that works for labor, small business, entrepreneurs, and even big business. She opposes Trump's broader tariffs and worked with big business, public-private partnerships, for example, in Central America and Southeast Asia, and has worked against them or tried to get them to do more of something. Critics say she was found to be among the most liberal senators, supported a return to the 35% corporate tax rate. Now she appears to be on board with the Biden administration going back to 28. She advocated for low and middle income tax credits, Medicare for all kind of universal basic income stuff. And she did oppose Fed Chair Powell's nomination to the job. We don't know her exact reasons, but she did join a group of senators who said at the time they wanted a Fed chair more willing to judge bank lending based on climate change effects. That's a sign she could be more progressive than Biden on the climate change issue. You're laughing, Kelly.
I'm looking at Ron, whose stock, by the way, hit an all-time high today after they had earnings. Congratulations, delivering the second best quarter in the company's history. Investment banking revenue, a big driver, stocks up 5%. So, I mean, I could put you on the spot and ask you who you think the better candidate is, or maybe you can, but
you can put me on the spot.
Let's hear it.
I'm not going to answer it.
Okay.
You can put me on the spot. Look, you know, when you look at policy, Congress is important because neither one of them can get it through without at least some majority in Congress, their policies. But what I would say, both policies are inflationary, both of them.
Both administrations.
Both administrations are inflationary. And the concern that I have is that we talk and you talk about the change in inflation, the change in the rate of inflation. But people that I talk to on the street talk about the level of inflation.
Yes.
All right. And individuals and consumers and average Americans say, you know, that cost of my groceries are up 25 to 30%.
Yeah.
When you say inflation is coming down, in their mind, they think that price is coming down. No, it's not. It's just going up slower. And we have to be careful of not to make sure that inflation is curtailed. That's the most insidious tax that I know.
But the only thing worse would be if we have an economic slowdown because policy's so tight, right? I mean, on some level, you don't want to compound inflation with saying to people, and you no longer have a job.
Well, you know, if you asked me what is worse, about the potential for a recession or the potential to reinflate inflation, I would argue that the bigger risk is reinflating inflation.
So you'd be fine with the Fed keeping
Well,
things where they
I don't
are.
want a recession.
But you're talking, I want to point this out to people, you're talking against your own interests, and to some extent. There's many people in the banking industry who would love to see the Fed lower rates and improve their right. But you're saying, listen, you're concerned that if they do that, that inflation could become entrenched, longer-term problem.
If I'm talking my own book, I want rates to be cut. Right. That will ignite economic activity. I'm not talking my own book. At the beginning of the year, I was the person that said 2 rate cuts in January when everyone else was saying 7. I understand that Steve just said it's 100% certain for September. They're not taking my vote in because it would be 99.999 because I don't think they should have a rate cut in September.
But I look at Lamb Weston. I look at what's going on with consumer packaged goods. I mean, we are now seeing not just price increases stop, but price cuts are coming. You're seeing it across. We've been in deflation in the e-commerce space for some time. Used car prices are tanking. Like, if it weren't for AI and some of those other things going on, and obviously education, healthcare, they're always sticky. It's government subsidy, so forth. But there's signs that disinflation is picking up steam. Yeah, and I just wonder if the Fed needs to respond to that.
But if you cut rates, I think you're going to ignite housing. Housing is one of the big costs.
I wonder if housing prices would come down if they cut rates.
No,
because all the people who I talk to who can't buy a house, if rates come down, they can afford one. And if rates come down, people might put their house on the market thinking maybe they can actually go somewhere else.
Try to buy a house today.
You can't.
Okay.
You can't.
Well, that's my point.
But I wonder if rate cuts would actually help.
It doesn't help on the supply side.
By lowering the mortgage rate, totally. But maybe people would put their homes on the market thinking, I just wonder. Steve, what do you think?
I think it's a great conversation. I really like listening to it. Kelly, you and I for months and months and months had puzzled over what would happen if the Fed cut rates to the housing market. I don't think they have an answer. I don't think the answer is with the Fed when it comes to the housing market. I think the answer might be with the fiscal authority. It may be with Congress. It may be someplace else. But we have to somehow get ahead here, and we've got to somehow, I think, incentivize greater home building to get the supply back up so you can actually get to a market situation where the effect of the interest rate can have its normal effect.
Yeah.
Right now, it's crazy. The idea, first of all,
a 3% interest rate would go a mortgage rate would go a long way.
And we don't need 3.
3%.
We don't need 3.
Hey, Kelly, you're living in the past.
What I would like to do is to restore.
That's why no one wants to put their house on the market. They don't want to lose that.
They don't want to lose that.
Let me make one point. Is that I think you want to try to restore, and I don't know what's wrong with the mortgage market. I'm looking here again, is the classic spread between the 10-year and the 30-year mortgage.
Is that a QT
that
thing?
Has become, it could be a QT thing. I'm not sure what the answer is, but the 10-year now is 4.25. If you put a 1.5 on it, it should be a 5.75, should be a 6% mortgage. Even, and that would be expensive. 6.25 would be expensive, but it's better than the 6.80 that we have now. And then we'd see how the market would respond. But I just want to make one quick point, which is there's an interesting commentary out there from Bill Dudley, from another competitor, who's saying, hey, maybe it's time to cut in July. I've been on board with that for the following reason. I've compared the Federal Reserve to a Christmas retailer. You have to order in the summer for what you want in Christmas. The way people want the Fed to act is like a retailer in November to order what they want on the shelves in December. It's too late by then. You must play, to some extent, a forecast game.
Maybe those are the.
But you know what? I exactly agree with that. Except I'm going to take the other side of that. What you don't want to order.
No Christmas? Is that what you're going to? That's your other side?
I want Christmas, but I don't want to order inflation, because you can argue that that will just pre-order inflation. And I'll go on. You guys are arguing what a rate cut will do to housing. I'll tell you what it'll do. Housing prices will go up. There you go. Now, when I'm wrong, call me back. And I'm often wrong.
You're rarely wrong. Right? You're rarely wrong. Quick final comment on the markets, though. What do you make?
Hold on. Wait. Sorry.
Please.
What happens to housing affordability?
Well, that's a good question. Okay, and that's a fair question. But housing affordability is as high as it's ever been.
If the mortgage rate comes down,
right. I understand that, but our housing prices will go up.
Only as a quick coda to the market action today. Do you ultimately, though, welcome this as a good thing, even though we're seeing it across not like the Russell's up today?
No, but what you're seeing is a rotation. We've said this, the big tech stocks are going to come down. We'll still go by with a 10% correction in the market, but that is going to be driven by what drove the market up, which is the Mag 7. They're going to rotate into utilities, other sectors. That is healthy for the market. Okay, so a correction can be healthy.
All right, you're not in the slowdown camp. Ron, thanks for your time. Really appreciate today. This was fun. Steve, great to have you back.
We did have record earnings. Can I forget? Earnings, record stock price. So let me end on that. Okay,
there you go.
Smiling.
You're benefiting from that rotation today. There are some stocks, Dom, doing well.